Coach Chris Jans joins us to talk about the game. Getting tight ones like this, just wonder, what do you think the difference was coming down the stretch tonight?
They made 2 threes in the last 2 possessions, if I'm not mistaken. You know, that's tough. You know, the second one was pretty deep. The first one was late clock, if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, 2 guys that, you know, wouldn't consider being their main guys, and, you know, big-time shots for those players, for their team. And, you know, we made some too. They made the last one. You know, time went out and we had at least a shot and a tip or 2, and it didn't go in for us.
Coach, I know that you're, you know, with the 14 turnovers we had tonight, 11 were steals by the Missouri defense. Were we careless with the ball, or were they just that good on the defensive end?
If you'd have told me before the game we'd had 14 in an overtime game, I would have taken it. They're one of the top teams in the country at stealing the basketball. I think Hodge leads the SEC, if I'm not mistaken, individually, and they had a bunch of guys that are up there. And as a team, it's really what they do. I mean, they really harass you and deflect the ball and try to turn it into offense. We had 12 at home, 13, but one was the last play where we took a shot clock violation, and then 14 in a overtime game. And to be honest with you, you know, like always, you have to watch the film, but you know, that's what they do. They're really good at it.
But most, if not all of them, were in their half-court defense, not their full-court defense.
Yeah, they didn't trap as much in the full court. The pressure wasn't quite as much. Obviously, I'm not in their meetings. I'm not sure why. So, you know, we didn't have to deal with that as much. And they didn't run and jump us either in the half court. They, you know, had some token pressure, I guess I would call it. And they definitely switched it up and played, you know, quite a bit of zone. They played a lot of zone there late in the game. But there was a different philosophy that they had tonight.
Early in the game, they were not letting the ball go into Tolu Smith at all. What were they in the first game? He had 25 and 12. Were they doing anything different tonight, or could you notice anything different they were doing to keep the ball out of his hands?
You know, they did a good job out front of, you know, making us run offense a little further out on the floor than we would have liked to. And, you know, when you do that, it takes away the timing, and the length of the post entries become more difficult, you know, to be able to throw it where we normally would want to throw it. It's just extended, and it's just too risky to throw it that way. And I don't know. You know, we obviously, if you look at the stat sheet, I think anyone would say, well, Tolo needed more shots. And, you know, I agree. It's easier said than done, and I've got to do a better job of figuring out a way to get him shots. We did there late, obviously, when we really needed it, and we had some good stuff, and they executed it. You know, we scored a couple of those paint baskets.
You know, it's easy for people to say Tolu needs to get more shots, but sometimes, Coach, fans forget they neglect to understand that other team doesn't want him to get more shots.
Yeah.
You know, and they scout also. They do the same thing you do.
Yeah, but, you know, I get it. That's just comes with the territory. And, you know, they played, like I said, they played that zone, and we ran some sets to try to get it in there, but they start and it looks like a 1-3-1, so it's extended. So again, even in the zone, they push you out and make it a little more difficult. And, you know, certainly people are going to say, hey, we shot too many threes, and at the end of the game, I understand that. You know, we did shoot quite a few threes, and normally recently we haven't been shooting as many threes, and unfortunately they weren't going down at a very good clip tonight.
You happy with the ones, though, that they were taking? Most of them, were they where you wanted them to take them from?
I mean, most of them. We definitely had a couple that I think we all would like to have a do-over with, but, you know, that's pretty typical of most games. We just couldn't get it going from three, you know. I mean, every time we shot, I'm like, you know, this is going to go in. And Rams is obviously uncharacteristically off a little bit. I mean, his misses were rough misses, and I'm not sure why. You know, sometimes, you know, it gets in your head and rhythm, etc. But, you know, they made the 2 last threes. You know, they made the 2 last threes, and in the end of the day, that was the difference in the ball game. And we really survived it. They ran a out-of-bounds play there with 2.2 that they hadn't shown. At least we hadn't seen it. It was a heck of a play, and you know, we got lucky. You know, we got really lucky, and I thought, oh man, that's our break. And normally that happens. You know, more often than not, the team that receives that break ends up winning, but it wasn't the case tonight.